So what we're seeing is a people that is united and divided, both at the same time. And that is just the way that it has to be. Everything that's happening has happened according to the plan or the equation, which is the reality of perpetual existence. This stuff has happened before, and it will continue to happen over and over again. Okay, people are united in the fact that they all exhibit and express consciousness. People are divided on several levels after that. Everything that you are seeing happen is happening because of the very things that have happened to you personally. That is to say, the trauma that I have spoke about before, that I've loosely touched on over and over again. We live in a trauma-based reality. We can say it's an actors-based reality. It certainly is. People act their roles. But trauma. So every time that you have had to face a judge for anything in life, be it a civil infraction, maybe you had domestic violence, maybe you've got a DUI in your life, whatever may have happened, or maybe something not as severe as a DUI, could be anything. Again, a fist fight at the bar, where two men are trying to square things off as men. Anyway, you were traumatized by going through the process. Okay, the process is a system of trauma. And so what we're seeing is the trauma being reflected back. Whether you stand for it or against it, that doesn't matter, because that's how it will always be. There is no escape from the dualistic nature of reality. The male and the female, the man and the woman, the plus and the minus. You get it. There's no escape from that. There could never be actual peace, because peace itself doesn't exist. Because if you have peace, you're taking a piece from the whole. Okay? The whole thing. So when you take a piece from the whole thing, you leave a hole in it. And see how these words are created, and this is all part of the plan of existence. The only thing that would actually the only thing to get away from the theory of peace is neutrality. Everything, the struggle, the battle for neutrality is what's at stake. And when I say neutrality, I mean a purely leveled, equally weighing scenario. Okay? So you think about water, two vessels of water, and if there's a joining pipe between the two, they call this the delta pi. Okay, and one of the vessels has more water. The shift happens for a neutral balance. Okay, now, of course that cannot happen in a conscious mind. It cannot happen. There's just no way, because your own individual thoughts that you experience throughout your day, and even when you sleep, because your mind, your brain is always working, they are never neutral. There's no neutrality. Nothing's neutralized. And so even on the continuing cycle of everything, that is life, death, and then the rebirth, to recycle, to re-legion, to come back. Um, you know, they say that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. Okay, so the presence of matter would be the presence of energy. All right. So if consciousness is an energy, and that is to say, if it is something that is tangible, maybe not even tangible, but something that can be measured somehow, after you die, your conscious energy could not be destroyed. My thoughts make more sense than in my words. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that happening to you. I'm sure some of you very well are. So if there was a way to measure consciousness as an energy form, like we are burning our consciousness, kind of thing, as we exist. They say we're burning the fuse. Burn the candle, we snuff out at death. So the energy is gone somewhere. As something burns, it's releasing energy somewhere. In other words, its matter is being changed, and it's expressing itself outwards into, say, like in the case of a fire, into the air, into the atmosphere. And one form that will be visibly remaining at the end of it is ash. And of course, with a human being, what comes after death is a corpse, a dead body. So, what happens to the conscious energy? Where is that going? It changes as all things change. So, what does it change into? Does it change into another form and come back? Is there a heaven, and it changes and goes to that? And is that the universal mind of the Alpha and the Omega, of the great architect, if you will, or the God, or the Allah, or however you want to look at it? Where does the energy go? And what is the destination? What is it? If it is the universal mind, would it be this? Do we go into like a world of echoing voices? Because they say that we connect with everyone again. And how far back does this go? We connect with our parents. What about their parents? What about their parents? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if everything's going to one place at the end of it, what is it? Like, what is it comprised of, and how does it operate? I think that's one of the questions and fears of dying, and experiencing life, especially as we get older, especially if you become a father, or an uncle, or if you're a woman, you become a mother, or an aunt, or whatever it may be. Because as we get older, we want to transfer our consciousness to somebody else. That is to say, we want to transfer our thoughts to somebody else. We want to transfer our memories to somebody else, our knowledge to somebody else. How can we do that? Before my dad died, I put my forehead to his, and I said, there's so much knowledge in your head that I have to have. When he was on his deathbed, there was no way he could give it to me anymore. He'd give me nothing more. He just had to go in faith that he had taught me as much as I needed to know to navigate this dimension within which we exist. Very strange. So we see everyone going on about what the next step is. What is the next stage in this plan? And when we talk about the plan, we mean what we're seeing unfold on the media outlets, or rather through the media outlets. If you watch TV still, or if you watch your TV shows and news and entertainment on a mobile device or a computer, whatever it may be, what's the next stage? Of course, the next stage is going to be some form of tightening the noose, the metaphoric noose around everyone's necks. And everyone who thought that they had a piece of success, a piece of financial stability, they are finally going to experience the loss if they never have before. And it is not a good thing. Being at a shoddy place of poverty is not a good thing. And this is a part of the cycle of how it just is. And this is why we have what's happening now. There are people who will say that poverty is not a reason or an excuse for people to do the things that they do, and that may be so, but it's the way that it is. It definitely is the way that it is, according to the plan, according to the design. Why is it? I do not know. Men and women have an unlimited wealth of knowledge in this world, and many men and women ignore it. And I was also ignorant of the knowledge at one time in my life, so I know how it goes. They say that all men come to Christ in their own way. Okay, all men come to God. All men come to truth, because the Christ is the truth. All men find the truth in their own way. Yeah. So just remember, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Or you can you can't save the junkie or the alcoholic. They have to hit their rock bottom. These are all metaphors for when one decides to say, I want the truth, and I want to find the truth. The truth would be the right way to do things. The right angle, 90 degrees, angle, angel. Those linked words there. The right way, the right hand. Again, the strange way that this realm is created. There's so many symbols and codes and things hidden right in front of our faces that we will never, ever have a full grasp on. Not by any means. Even those in power who are alive now, they have only limited knowledge of the same knowledge that came before them through their forefathers. Because, as I've said already, we cannot transfer every piece of knowledge that we have ever absorbed. We cannot transfer these things into the next generation. Now, as you sit back and think about these things in life, does that mean that you should just sit idly by? That's a personal choice. So again, this is your time, as I've said before. This is your time. This is your time to find out what your calling is. If your calling is to climb a mountain, then you should go climb that mountain while you can. If your calling is to write a book, you should probably pick up the typewriter and start writing. If your calling is to become a dad, or a better brother, or a better uncle, or to be a better mother, or whatever it may be, if these things are your calling, then now is your time to take care of those things while you can, because the world will continue to burn. The energy is going to express itself, and there will only be a shambling, ashen remain of what used to be. And what comes next is, of course, unforeseen. The plan has been in motion since the grand, great consciousness created itself. It had to create itself. It had to. There was no other choice. It had to be created. God was created. God created itself by saying, I am. And that was it. It had to. You cannot question this. These are things that like we cannot wrap our brains around, no matter what. I think that all philosophers, whether great or lousy, they've always wanted to try to explain somehow what consciousness is. Consciousness is am. I am. So just like God, just like the architect, the creator, whatever you may call him, just like God said, I am, you as well are. You as well am. Now, that's it. It had to be. So everything that's unfolding, there was never any other way that it had to go. It's all by mathematical calculations, the weight of existence, everything else. The way that matter and particles collide with each other, nothing is at random, ever. There is no such thing as randomization. A computer programmer will tell you that because they have to write algorithms, they have to write equations to generate a number at what the end user perceives to be random. That's it. The end user perceives it. There was a plan which created it. There's no other way to get around it. So what the end user sees, that's all the end user knows. You just know what you see. That's it. That's the biggest thing about everything. So when you take a step back and you say something like, I don't believe my eyes. I can't believe my eyes. What a profound chain of words to use. Because what can you believe? It's all in your mind. And that's the strangest thing about it. It's all in your head. Every aspect of it. You'll never know how it all really works. So you're never going to know, what's real when it comes to the media. You're never going to know. You're never going to know if Bill Gates really is bent on global domination through his corporate company money. You'll never know. Why would he allow the whole world to just sit here and trash on him? I'm sure there'd be some way that he could, stand up, release a speech to the world, yes, I am aiming for this, or no, I'm not. It just seems so goofy to think that it's so easy to pin everything down, like as if they're ever going to give you everything that you need to actually know. They're not. So you have to use discernment. You have to find out what discernment is in your mind, in your brain, in your psyche. You have to learn how to use it, and you have to test it. You have to test your discernment. Everything that you have at your disposal has to be tested. You use your eyes. You test your eyes that way. You use your heart. You put your heart to the test every day that you wake up and walk up and down the stairs. You have to test your discernment. How do you test your discernment? Well, I don't know. Remove your emotions from it first, is what I suggest. But nobody wants to hear all that, do they? They don't, and that's just the way that it is. Because again, nothing is at random, and everybody will find the truth on their own when they are damn ready. And that's just where I'm at with it. I know it warms people's hearts to hear things like supposedly a police precinct burned down, but again, take that at the face value. Then they give you the code of number 3. They say it was the 3rd precinct that burned down. So, like I say, it warms your heart when you see what you perceive to be the downtrodden taking something back, something, I don't know what, but are they? Did they do it, or did the architects of the madness do it? They say that the Bible is proof and clues that God exists. All right, so the media should also then give proof and clues that it is controlling your version of reality, and it has been for a long time. And it seems as though it's really changed after 2012. Remember, they used to tell us that the world was going to end in 2012, and everybody had a laugh at the people who thought they were, that thought the world was going to end. But look, it has ended. We're in a new world now. We have been, and we haven't even realized it. We've sat here and wondered, how are all these chomos and shit allowed to do whatever they want in the media? How are these people allowed to do this stuff on the news and in the magazines and the tabloids and everything else? It's not the same world. It's not. The mind has shifted. The universal mind it's changed its mind. Something has changed. The mind has changed, and it's exhibited, it's reflected, it's proven as we observe how the minds of everyone else act, or what they cling to, or what they lean towards, or what they gravitate towards. So the left ideological mind, the liberal ideological mind, what we call liberal, which is not liberal anymore. It's just something completely different, because there are, of course, great things to behold within a liberal mind, but what we have now is certainly not any form of traditional liberalism. It's a whole new monster. It's just given the name or title of liberal. Okay? So the mind has changed, and there's a Russian Russian man who was KGB or something like that, and he spills the beans about how they do this. Within 3 generations, they learned that they could completely demoralize a society, or demoralize a society within 3 generations, and that would mean to change the minds of the overall, because we live in, well, we call this a democracy, democracy. Those are 2 words there. I don't know exactly what they are. I haven't looked those up. They're Latin roots. But if we have a Latin democracy, then it would be led by the minds, and the minds would have to lean a certain way in uniform, in sequence. And the mind, of course, is leaning in one particular direction. And of course, then there's the polar opposite degree of it, which is what we would call then the right mind, or the right brain, however you want to look at it. Again, it's that dualistic nature of just existence within the universal mind. So the mind has changed according to plan, because nothing is random. Nothing just happens. I don't care if you want to think that everything's scripted, or if you want to take it to a micro level on how particles interact with each other and bounce mathematically. Everything happens for a reason. What is the reason? This life is an experience. That's all that it is. You will never have any real power. You are just supposed to get through this bitch and make the best of it. And when you have realized that, not you, but when one has realized that, I think that's what puts them in their own personal age of reason. I'm going to drop this off now, guys. I'm done. I started this off with just some random thoughts. They weren't random. I started this off just with some thoughts that I wanted to get out. I haven't put anything out for a while. I haven't had, I've had some time, but I haven't had the motivation. I haven't had the spark. I just wasn't feeling it. You know, I do a lot of consumption of ideas and media. And, you know, sometimes I just lose my own motivation because of it. I start to think that somebody else has already said it. So somebody will say something that I completely feel as though I align with, and I therefore won't do anything. So I think that's one of the battles of reality. Is it a battle? Is it a fight? Does it hurt to do? Yeah. Think about it. When we use the word battle, fuck me up. I got my ass kicked. It was such a battle. No, it doesn't hurt. It just makes you kind of sluggish. And I'm not trying to go out like that. All right, guys. Chris with the Age of Reason. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you guys all next time. Keep both eyes, all three eyes opened at all times, and pay attention. They burned down the 3rd precinct. Just a coincidence, right? Number 3, the Holy Trinity. Huh? All at random.